Welcome back to the Neo Marketing Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the difference between personality and gaffe. It's not that much.
Welcome to the Golden Group Neo Marketing Podcast, a bi-weekly discussion of modern business communication.
Good morning, Kyle. How are you?
Good morning, Pritch. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. As we said, we're going to talk about, today I'd like to talk about the difference between personality in your social media and gaffe.
Very good.
And you might think that's a pretty big gulf. In my experience, it's a pretty thin difference. And I'll use UPS's recent tweet, and I got to quote it because it's ridiculous. If your child addresses a letter to the North Pole, you can leave it with us. We do shredding. So can we say
wow.
Grinch?
Yeah, that's quite mean for a Christmas time offer.
And why would you ever do that? Their stated reason was they wanted more engagement with their customers. They wanted their customers to know that they do shredding, and they're trying to take a lighter, quote-unquote, whimsical approach to their tone on social media.
Well, whimsical and mean are two different things.
That's exactly right. And since when did UPS ever get a reputation for being whimsical?
Right.
I mean, so it goes back to what we've talked about many, many times in this show, authenticity.
Yes.
It's not authentic. I mean, a whimsical tone, I don't care. I mean, this is a terrible tweet.
Actually, this is double inauthentic.
Double inauthentic.
Because
right?
whimsical is, like you said, is not part of the UPS brand persona. And then they try to glom on to a holiday.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, you got to
what? Even third, I'm going to go with third level
third
here
level
of a holiday where they're known for shipping because people order packages
right.
and send things to people for the holidays.
Right. It's like Christmas when a UPS guy.
But they're not thinking of shredding at this point of the year.
No.
So their timing was bad.
The holiday was bad. It was a mean tweet.
Right.
Whimsical approach. Okay. And
so if they're going to miss,
come on, man.
If they're going to miss that much.
Right.
They obviously didn't go back to what their brand is,
right.
who their audience is, what their strategy is, and what they're attempting to do. Even if they're attempting to change it, they still needed to go back to where they are today and move slightly off of where they are towards where they want to go, as opposed to leapfrogging this far away.
This was tragic and comical. Okay, so let me set a scenario. UPS, if you're listening,
right?
Okay. So we're getting into January, maybe February. April 15th is coming up.
It's 2019.
The old problem solution approach to advertising and marketing would work very well. And you could be whimsical about, the tax man, because everybody hates the tax man.
See, this makes a lot more sense.
Right?
When you're counter Christmas, you're mean.
Yeah.
When you're counter tax man, you're on our side.
You're American.
We're all in this together.
right, exactly. And when you're getting ready to do your taxes, there's always that stuff you go, man, I got to get rid of this.
Right.
Stand all day at my little portable shredder and feed all those papers in there, or I could box them up and take them to UPS.
And shredding is a legitimate service.
Absolutely.
We absolutely need it in this age of identity theft and,
yep.
and things of this nature. It's an essential service. I'm glad that they're doing it.
Yep.
But they're already associated in a good way with package delivery for Christmas. Why not wait till now, to January, February, March, the lead up to tax time, and focus? So again, we said 4 ways they missed. Now I'm going to say it's 5 ways because their timing was not only just wrong for Christmas, that they were trying to push themselves into Christmas, but the natural time for them to be providing this service is now.
Is not now.
Just a couple of weeks after Christmas.
Right, exactly.
Man, that's a serious miss.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, and it just occurred to me as we're talking about this, is, your common shredder doesn't do the trick anymore because people can paste that stuff together unless, you got little bitty chunks,
confetti,
right? So another thing that they could have touted to be authentic is we make it so people can't paste your stuff back together. I mean,
or, let's make some confetti.
Let's make
and
some
throw
confetti.
it at Christmas parties. That would have been
That could have worked.
But that just came up top of my head, folks.
There
so
you go.
Here we go. UPS, you should be hiring us.
You
to do
should
your
be
marketing.
hired because you're obviously not doing well.
Just enough 5-minute conversation. We already have a better ad campaign than what you ran. The other aspect of this, and here's a mistake I see a lot of businesses make. This happens all the time. And they do one of two things here, and both are wrong. They say, well, it's just social media, as if they dismiss social media for having any sort of value, and no one saw it, it's just social media, which then kind of begs the point of why are you doing it at all if you really find no value in it? And I think we all agree, anyone watching the show or listening to this podcast agrees that social media has huge value in marketing and your brand message.
Right.
Or you go the other way, which is companies that completely ignore social media, don't take advantage of the opportunities, but then also don't address when people are talking about them on social media.
Right.
I think a great example of that for locally here in Oklahoma is Brahms.
Right.
Ice cream shop, hamburgers, ice creams, restaurants, chain, been around forever, locally owned. They're very well liked and thought of, but their marketing has always been, people in the marketing and advertising industry have always been thought they were 20 years behind everything. They ran the same commercials from 1985 on TV for a very long time.
Right.
And there's been big conversations amongst the marketing community about the fact that they don't really engage in social media. I think they finally now have a Facebook and Twitter account.
Right.
I don't think they utilize them. In the past, they have missed opportunities to engage their audience, but change the conversation or even address where people were literally just mocking them and talking poorly about their brand,
right,
because they didn't pay attention to social media. So there's the people who don't take it serious and pay no attention, or the people that don't take it serious and do things like this and think that this gaffe isn't as bad as if they'd done something in print or TV or radio.
Right. Well, according to the article, it had 3,000 retweets and 11,000 likes.
Which exponentially, depending on the number of followers and viewers and then if a hashtag gets associated with it, it can snowball really fast.
So I could see the marketing folks going, yes, we got great engagement on this one, but it's the wrong kind of engagement.
Absolutely wrong. And now we're talking about UPS, but we're not giving them kudos right now. We're telling them
we're bashing
failures they've made.
Absolutely. So I go back to the original question. It's a very narrow gap between personality and gaffe.
Well, I could say anyone who's ever sent an email where they try to make a joke, be light of something, even being very positive, hey, that's great, and the person getting it read, hey, that's great.
Right.
They implied the sarcastic tone that wasn't there. Anything that's in print or uses language that you're not communicating verbally like we're doing now, but is written down, has an opportunity to not communicate the full message because you don't have body language, inflection,
nonverbals, right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So I think social media is obviously a huge culprit for that.
Yep. And I think too many people try and use humor. And I think humor is the wrong way to go. I mean, it's really difficult to do well.
It is difficult to do well. Obviously, it depends on your brand. Some brands obviously lend themselves to humor. Many brands do not. And I think in this case, UPS does not.
Yeah. So, no, you're exactly right. I mean, and again, it loops back to authenticity. UPS, great delivery. The stores work great. Right. They'll box your stuff up. And
the original partner of business when it comes to delivery. It wasn't buying on Amazon when UPS started. It was business-to-business delivery.
Exactly. And they're still doing that. The UPS stores are very handy to have.
Right.
And you might joke with the clerk when you go in if you've developed a relationship, but it's business. It's, and
remember who your core audience is.
Exactly. So humor is really tough to do, and in my humble opinion, you need to stay away from it. Unless you've got one of those really fun type organizations, a party store, perfect,
obviously, right? A comedy club,
exactly.
Alcohol, there are plenty of things that lend itself. I think even fast food, because it's not a real serious subject, lends itself to you can utilize a lot of humor. I think Wendy's social media and marketing utilizes humor well. They also use their social media well. And typically, I never tell people go attack your competition, right? They're like, we're better than you, you suck.
Right.
But some of the engagement that Wendy's creates off attacking McDonald's via their social media, now that's bled into their TV and radio and print advertising, actually works because they are, much like UPS trying to extend their range or change an idea of who they are, they're trying to push themselves into new markets, and those markets are people who appreciate wit and the sort of fire that comes with jumping up on your opponent like that, especially the behemoth like McDonald's.
Like McDonald's.
In some very rare instances, all these things align and it works. Humor, aggressiveness, actually mentioning, the old rule back in the day, never mention your opponent's name.
Right.
Well, now literally Wendy's is calling out McDonald's by name, by handle on social media and their other marketing. And it works because of who they're trying to attract for all the right reasons they're doing it. Most 99% of businesses out there can't take that tact and be correct.
Should stay away from it. Exactly. And I'll guarantee you that Wendy's has got a boatload of research to back up their approach to things.
And when you talk about how hard it is to do comedy, of course, if someone misses the joke, it goes from comedy to mean or to
absolutely
right
reputation damage.
I've heard many actors say the hardest thing to do is comedy. Everyone thinks the serious drama actor, the De Niro's, the Pacinos, the bringing that to but actors say all the time comedy because of the need for timing, inflection, etc. is the hardest thing to do.
And subject matter, too.
Right. So if you're limited on something like social media, whether it's number of characters on Twitter, the lack of visuals, etc., control over how are you singing on a phone, are you at work, are you in the car, all those factors make it really hard to pull off comedy in current market.
Absolutely. So my take would be stick with the problem solution. People like to hear that you've got a solution for something.
And ultimately, they want to hear how it makes their life better.
Absolutely.
They want to connect with it on what does it do for me and my family? How does it make our life better, easier, more convenient, less money, etc.
Yeah, the WeFM, what's in it for me?
There you go.
Absolutely.
That's always the right tack to take.
Always the right tack to take.
Comedy, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Had my coffee this morning. I was all jacked up on this one. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk about that.
No, I think it's fantastic coming right off the heels of Christmas, rolling into tax day. Like you said, this is a better time for them to be doing this anyways. I think it's a good time to discuss the idea. Put UPS on blast. They'll be fine. Don't worry, folks. We're not putting UPS out of business.
Yeah.
And give great ideas and great insights to people listening to the podcast and watching the videos.
Absolutely. So there you go. It's not very far from personality to Gaffe. So stick with your authentic voice. Until next time, ciao.
Good luck.